And I said, well, I've never met a Catholic before who actually loved Jesus. And
Oh,
he was
wow.
just like, oh my gosh. He's like, I'm Catholic because I love Jesus.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it freaked me out, Jose. I'd never met anybody like that before. The only Catholics that I knew were people who were just like traditional, but they didn't understand anything about their faith. They were
Right.
Catholic not because of a relationship with God, but that's just how they were raised, like my wife used to be.
Right.
So I basically decided I needed to try to convert this guy
Oh, wow.
and take him. And I thought, well, I'll just give him some Bible verses. He'll see that the Catholic Church is, I mean, how easy is it, right? Call no man father, whatever. I mean, I had all these I thought I was an expert.
Right.
And I said to him, I said, hey, Devin, tell me this. When were you saved? If you died tonight, where would you go? And basically the stuff that I'd been taught when I was growing up. And he
Right.
just let me have it, man. He was like, he started talking to me about baptism and about tradition and the church and all these things. And I was like, whoa, what is this guy saying? Well, we had this
Right.
amazing conversation. And eventually, Devin's wife calls down from upstairs, says, hey, didn't Keith say it was his anniversary? He needs to get going. I was like, oh man, I was supposed to be home like an hour ago. So he gives me this DVD, or no, it was a VHS because this was like 1997. He gives me this
Okay.
VHS and says, here, this guy was like you, only way worse, and he became Catholic.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was the Scott Hahn conversion story.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I went home, and within the next couple of days, I watched that tape. It
Right.
blew my mind, blew my mind. And I began to realize that I didn't know anything about the Catholic Church. I thought I
Wow.
did,
Yeah.
but everything that I knew about the Catholic faith, I learned from anti-Catholics.
Right.
So while I'm going through this process, I'm in college, in seminary, and I'm starting to learn things about the Catholic faith because Devin and I would continue to meet together. I would try to convert him to be a Protestant. He would try to convert me to be a Catholic. So he's given
Mm.
me all these apologetics books and these things to read, and I'm learning about things, and it's starting to like blow my mind in a really interesting way. But I was a little bit worried about it, so I would ask my professors at seminary. I'm like, hey, well, what about this? What about Matthew? Where Jesus gives Peter this new name, and he says, upon this rock I will build my church. And I remember one time I asked one of my Bible professors, what does that mean? And
Right.
she said, well, we're talking about Peter's faith, the rock that the church is built on, not Peter like the Catholics believe, but Peter's faith. And I said, well, why do we believe that? And she goes, well, because we're Protestants.
Hmm.
And I remember just going, whoa, that's the best answer she can give me.
Wow.
Well, so my mind's starting to get blown. But of course, I'm a professional youth minister. I'm in seminary. I'm like, this is my job, my career. I've got a family. I can't just become a Catholic because of these things. So
Right.
I basically tried to push it aside. And there was an experience where we were putting on this church camp, and I was there with some of my friends, my other pastor friends, and
Right.
one of my friends was leading our youth group through this communion. And there was no liturgy. It was just sort of really loosey goosey. And Jesus took bread and he was hanging out with his disciples. And he just kind of paraphrased that whole year.
Right.
And, and I had been really studying John 6 and all of the church fathers and things about the Eucharist. And the Lord just hit me one night, and while we were in this camp, and he just said, there's more for you than this. And
Wow.
I felt this strong call. And I remember I walked outside of the camp and I was just in tears. And I
Wow.
called Devin. I said, I'm in trouble. And he's like, what happened? I said, I think the Lord's calling me to become Catholic.